She was a poor plantain seller until the day she helped a woman who fainted in the market. That woman, a billionaire's mother. The next morning, everything changed. Gifts, success, and a new visitor. But as her life rose, jealousy followed. Will kindness be her downfall or her greatest blessing? Don't miss this emotional journey. Like, share, and subscribe. The hot Lagos sun was already high in the sky when Blessing arrived at Mile 12 Market, carrying a basket of ripe plantains on her head. She had walked from her small room in Ketu with her younger sister Deborah, who helped her arrange the plantains on a wooden table. Blessing was just 23 years old, but life had made her grow up fast. After their parents died in a motor accident 3 years ago, she became the one responsible for her siblings. Every morning, she sold plantain at the market just to keep food on the table and pay school fees. "Make sure you don't forget to wash the plantains before customers come," she told Deborah gently, handing her a rag and a small bowl of water. Their stall was small and simple, squeezed between two big tomato sellers. Still, Blessing kept it neat. She always greeted customers with a smile, even when she was hungry. Around midday, the market became noisy as usual. People shouted prices, buses honked, and hawkers weaved between buyers. Blessing sat under her umbrella, fanning herself. She hadn't eaten anything since morning. She was about to drink water from her bottle when she heard a loud gasp. "Somebody help!" a woman screamed nearby. Blessing stood up quickly and looked around. Just a few feet from her stall, an elderly woman in a fine Ankara gown had collapsed on the ground. Her handbag had fallen beside her, and people were just passing by. Some people stared, others whispered, but no one moved closer. Blessing didn't think twice. She ran to the woman and knelt beside her. "Mama, can you hear me?" she asked, gently tapping her. The woman didn't respond. Her eyes were closed, and her skin looked pale from the heat. Blessing looked around. "Please help me. She needs water." Still, no one answered. Without waiting, she ran back to her stall, grabbed the bottle of cold water she had saved for herself, and hurried back. She opened it and carefully poured some into the woman's mouth. After a few seconds, the woman coughed lightly. Her eyes opened slowly. "Thank you," she whispered in a weak voice. Blessing smiled, relieved. "You're going to be okay, Ma. Just rest for a bit." She used her scarf to fan the woman, wiping her face gently. Deborah joined her and handed over a small stool. They helped the woman sit up. "What happened?" the woman asked faintly. "I think the sun was too much for you," Blessing said softly. "Do you live nearby? I can take you home." The woman nodded weakly. "Yes, but I don't have strength to walk alone." "Don't worry, Ma. I'll go with you." People began to gather, watching them, but no one offered help. Some market women whispered among themselves, "Why she'd stress herself for stranger? She no even know who the woman be." Blessing ignored them. With Deborah watching the stall, she helped the woman up and supported her slowly out of the market. They walked to the nearest bus stop. Blessing paid the fare with the last 100 naira she had in her pocket. They sat quietly in the back seat. The woman leaned on Blessing's shoulder, still weak but breathing better. At the gate of a quiet estate in Gbagada, the woman directed the security man to open the gate. Blessing was shocked. She had never entered a place so clean and quiet before. They stopped in front of a beautiful bungalow with flowers and a big veranda. "You live here?" Blessing asked, surprised. The woman smiled faintly. "Yes, my name is Mama Iboos. You have a good heart, my daughter." Blessing helped her inside and made sure she was resting properly before getting ready to leave. Your name, please? Mama Iboos asked softly. Blessing, Ma. I sell plantain at mile 12 market. Blessing, I won't forget. Blessing smiled and waved goodbye, walking back to the market under the sun. Her stomach growled, but her heart was full. She didn't know it, but her life was about to change. Blessing walked back to the market with her legs aching and her stomach empty. By the time she returned, the sun was already beginning to set. Deborah was still at the stall, trying to arrange the plantains. Some had already gone bad. Where did you go, sister? She asked worriedly. Blessing smiled weakly. I followed that woman we helped. She stays in one estate in Gabagada. Deborah's eyes widened. Estate? You entered inside? Yes, Blessing nodded. The place was beautiful. I've never seen a house like that before. Did she give you anything? Deborah asked, hopeful. Blessing shook her head. Number. But that's not why I helped her. She's an old woman. What if it were our mother that fainted somewhere like that? Deborah looked down and nodded slowly. You're right. They packed up what was left of their goods and began the long trek home. That night, there was no dinner, only Gary and water. Still, Blessing felt peaceful. Something about Mama Iboos' smile stayed in her heart. Meanwhile, in Gabagada, Mama Iboos sat on her soft couch with a warm blanket covering her legs. A young housemaid served her hot tea. Her son, Iboo, walked in shortly after. He was in his early 30s, tall, well-groomed, and calm-looking. He wore a simple black polo and jeans, but there was something powerful about him. The way he moved, the way he spoke. Mama, I heard you fainted, he said, sitting beside her with concern in his eyes. It's nothing serious, Mama Iboos replied, sipping her tea. I just pushed myself too much today. I didn't tell the driver I was going to the market. I wanted to buy fresh fish myself. Iboo sighed. You know you can send anyone to do that for you. Why risk it? She smiled. Sometimes I miss being around normal people, and I'm glad I went today, because I met an angel. Iboo looked puzzled. An angel? A young girl, a plantain seller. She helped me when no one else did. Carried me, gave me her water, and even paid my bus fare. Iboo blinked. Wait, you entered public bus? Yes-o, Mama Iboos laughed softly. And that girl stayed with me till I got home. If not for her, maybe I would still be lying on the ground in that market. Iboo leaned back, his face serious. What's her name? Blessing. She said she sells plantain at mile 12. That's all I know. But Iboo, I want to find her. Iboo nodded slowly. You don't need to say more. I'll handle it. The next morning, Blessing was already arranging her plantains when two black SUVs parked just outside the market gate. People turned to stare. It was not every day that rich-looking cars entered the area. Two men in suits stepped out and began asking questions. Good morning, please, one of them asked. We're looking for a young lady named Blessing. She helped a woman who fainted yesterday. The moment her name was mentioned, some market women rushed to point. That's her. That's the girl. Blessing turned slowly as the two men walked towards her. You are Blessing? The taller man asked. Yes, sir, she replied, confused and a bit scared. We were sent by Madame Iboos. She asked us to give you this card. She wants to thank you properly. Will you be free tomorrow afternoon to come to our office in Victoria Island? Blessing looked at the card. It had a company name she couldn't pronounce and a Lagos address. The whole market stared at her. Some were shocked. Others were whispering. As the men left, one woman hissed, who knows what that old woman wants from her? Another said, Na God catch her today, good heart no day waste. Blessing didn't say anything. She just looked down at the card again. Her hands trembled slightly. She had never been to Victoria Island before. Whatever was waiting for her there, she had no idea. By the time Blessing got home that evening, her heart was still racing. She placed the small white business card carefully inside her old Bible and sat on the edge of her mattress, staring into space. Deborah noticed her silence. "Sister, are you okay?" the little girl asked. Blessing forced a smile. "Yes, I'm fine." But deep down, she was nervous. She had never entered an office in Victoria Island before. The only time she went near that side of Lagos was when she followed someone to deliver plantain in Lekki. And even that day, they didn't let her pass the gate. "What if they just want to embarrass me?" she wondered aloud. Deborah frowned. But the woman looked kind. "Nah." Blessing nodded. "She did. Maybe this is a good thing." Meanwhile, in Iboo's mansion in Ikoyi, Iboo stood by his large glass window, staring at the garden below. He had just returned from a board meeting, but his mind wasn't on business. His thoughts kept drifting to the young girl his mother had described. Mama said she gave her water and paid for her transport. With the little she had, he murmured to himself. He was used to people pretending to be kind, especially when they found out who he was. But this girl didn't know anything. She helped his mother from a genuine heart. His personal assistant, Tunde, entered the room. "Sir, we found her." Iboo turned. "You did?" "Yes. Her name is Blessing, just like your mum said. She sells plantain in mile 12. My team met her this morning and gave her your card. She looked surprised, a bit scared too." Iboo nodded. "Good. She deserves more than a thank you. Should I prepare something for her visit tomorrow?" "Yes," Iboo said. "Let her feel valued. Let her know that good people still exist." The next day, Blessing wore her best gown, a yellow flowery dress she had owned since her secondary school graduation. She packed her natural hair neatly into a bun and rubbed a little powder on her face. "You look fine," Deborah said, adjusting the belt on the dress. "Thank you," Blessing whispered, still unsure. She took a small bus to Victoria Island, clutching the card and directions Tunde had texted her. When she arrived at the office building, her eyes widened. The structure was tall, glassy, and beautiful, not like anything she had seen before. At the front desk, she was welcomed by a smiling receptionist. "You're Miss Blessing?" the lady asked politely. "Yes, Ma," Blessing replied, almost whispering. "Please follow me. They've been expecting you." Blessing followed her through clean, air-conditioned hallways. She felt out of place in her faded dress, but the people around smiled kindly. Soon she was ushered into a room. Inside sat Mama Iboos, looking strong and radiant in a fresh lace gown. "My child," the woman called out joyfully. "Come in, come in." Blessing smiled and walked forward slowly. "You remembered me?" she asked shyly. "How can I forget someone who gave me water when I almost collapsed?" Mama Iboos said, holding her hands. "You don't know what you did for me that day." "I was just doing what I could, Ma. And that's why it touched me even more," Mama Iboos replied. "You helped me with the little you had." Iboo entered the room quietly. He wore a simple white shirt and black trousers. "This is my son," Mama Iboos said proudly. "Iboo, this is Blessing, the girl I told you about." Iboo smiled warmly and stretched his hand. "It's an honor to meet you, Blessing." She shook his hand nervously. "Thank you, sir." They all sat down and spoke for a few minutes. Blessing shared a bit about her family and how she sells plantain to survive. Then, just as she was about to leave, Mama Iboos stood up and handed her a brown envelope. "Take this," she said. "It's not much, but I want to support your dreams." Blessing opened it and gasped. 500,000 naira. Her eyes filled with tears. Sir, this is too much. I can't accept this. You deserve it, Iboo said gently. Use it to build something for yourself. Blessing dropped to her knees, crying and thanking them. She had no idea what she would do yet, but deep in her heart, something was telling her. This was the beginning of something new. Blessing couldn't sleep that night. She placed the brown envelope under her pillow and kept checking to make sure it was still there. She even whispered a prayer each time she touched it. The next morning, she woke up early and counted the money again. It was real. 500,000 naira in crisp notes. Deborah watched her with wide eyes. What will you do with it? Blessing smiled. I'm not going to spend it carelessly. I've always dreamed of owning a phone accessories shop. Chargers, earphones, power banks. That's what I want to do. But why not use it to grow the plantain business? Because plantain was never my dream, Blessing said softly. It was just what I had to do to survive. But now, I want to follow my real dream. Deborah nodded slowly. She understood. That afternoon, Blessing got a surprise call. Hello, is this Miss Blessing? The voice asked. Yes, this is Blessing. This is Tunda, Mr. Iboo's assistant. Mama Iboos and her son would love to invite you for lunch tomorrow. They want to see you again. Blessing froze. Lunch? At their house? Yes. The car will come and pick you by 12 noon. After the call ended, Blessing quickly began preparing. She borrowed a simple gown from her neighbor and polished her black flats. The next day, by noon, a sleek black SUV was parked outside their compound. Neighbors peeped through their windows. Children gathered to stare. Blessing stepped into the car quietly, heart beating fast. The driver smiled. You're going to Ikoyi, madam? Blessing almost laughed. No one had ever called her madam before. The journey was smooth, and in no time, they arrived at a big cream-colored mansion with tall trees and security guards at the gate. When she stepped out of the car, the gates opened slowly. Blessing gasped. The compound was like something from a movie. Beautiful flowers lined the driveway, and the house looked like a palace. Mama Iboos was already waiting at the door. My daughter, she said, opening her arms. Blessing walked in and hugged her gently. You look beautiful, the old woman said. Come in, come in. They led her into a large dining room with a long glass table and golden chairs. Everything smelled of fresh flowers and rich soup. Iboo came downstairs in a navy blue kaftan. You made it, he said with a smile. Yes, sir, Blessing replied shyly. They all sat and ate together. There was jollof rice, goat meat, vegetable soup, and even fruit juice. Blessing felt like she was in another world. During the meal, Mama Iboos asked, So what will you do with the money? Blessing paused, then said softly, I want to open a phone accessories shop. It's something I've always wanted to do, but I never had the capital. Iboo looked impressed. That's a smart business. It moves well in Lagos. Yes, Blessing nodded. I've already found a small shop close to Ketu. I just need to pay for it and start buying stock. Mama Iboos touched her hand. I'm proud of you, my dear. You're not lazy and you think well. After lunch, they showed her around the house, from the indoor garden to the small library. Blessing felt like she was dreaming. As she prepared to leave, Iboo walked her to the car. Blessing, he said quietly, you're different from most people I know. You helped my mother without knowing who she was. I'll never forget that. Blessing smiled nervously. I only did what I believe is right. Iboo nodded. Good people are hard to find. I'm glad we met you. The car dropped her off, back home, and Deborah ran out to hug her. "How was it?" she asked eagerly. Blessing just smiled. "It was beautiful, and I know one thing for sure." "What?" "My life is about to change." The next morning, Blessing took a bold step. She went straight to the small shop she had been eyeing for months, not far from the Ketu bus stop. The owner had been asking for 150,000 naira as 1 year rent, but Blessing could never afford it, until now. She paid the money in full, signed the rent agreement, and got the key. She stood inside the small empty space and smiled. It wasn't big. The walls were bare, the floor was rough. But to Blessing, it was a palace. It was her first real shop. That same day, she went to Computer Village in Ikeja and started buying items: phone chargers, earpieces, power banks, screen guards, and Bluetooth speakers. She also bought a small table, display shelves, and a plastic chair. By the weekend, the shop was set up. She named it Bless Tech Accessories. The opening day was simple. She wore a clean blouse and skirt and swept the shop twice before arranging everything neatly. There was no music, no crowd, just a quiet prayer with Deborah before opening the doors. Customers started coming little by little. "How much for this charger? Do you have Infinix earpiece? Can you help me fix screen guard?" Blessing smiled at everyone, answered kindly, and gave fair prices. Her warmth attracted people. In just 1 week, sales picked up. Some people even brought friends. One woman said, "I like your honesty. You didn't cheat me. I'll come back." At night, Blessing counted her earnings and cried softly, not out of sadness, but out of joy. She was finally doing what she loved. Meanwhile, in Iboob's mansion, Iboo sat in his home office, reviewing a report when his mother entered. "She's doing well," Mama Iboos said. Iboo looked up. "Who?" "Blessing. I had someone check on her quietly. She's opened her shop, neat, organized, and running it well." Iboo smiled. "I knew she would." "She reminds me of myself when I was her age," Mama Iboo said softly. "Focused, smart, and kind. You don't find many like her these days." Iboo leaned back in his chair. He had been thinking about her too, her voice, her humility, her strength. "I want to see her again," he said. "Then go," his mother replied. "Stop hiding. Talk to her." The next week, Blessing was sitting in her shop when a man in a polo shirt and face cap walked in. "Good afternoon," he said with a smile. "Good afternoon, sir," she replied, standing. "You're Blessing, right?" "Yes, I am. I just wanted to check out your shop. I heard about it from someone." "Oh, thank you, sir. Please, feel free to look around." The man browsed for a while, picked up a power bank, and paid for it. As he turned to leave, he pulled down his cap slightly. Blessing squinted. "Wait, aren't you Mr. Iboo?" He smiled. "I wanted to see how your business was doing without any attention." Blessing laughed softly. "You didn't need to hide. You're always welcome here." "I like what you've done with the place," he said. "Simple, clean, and professional." "Thank you. I'm doing my best." He looked around again. "If you ever need anything, expansion, support, stock, just let me know." Blessing nodded slowly. "Thank you, sir. I'll try to grow it little by little." Iboo smiled. "And I'll be watching, silently or not." The very next morning, Blessing had just finished sweeping her shop when a delivery van pulled up in front of her. "Blessing?" the driver asked. "Yes." "These are for you." 3 large cartons were carefully carried inside. Curious market women began to gather. When Blessing opened the boxes, her hands shook. Brand new Android phones, original chargers, smartwatches, and phone cases. A white note was taped on top of one box. It simply read, "This is just the beginning. Keep going." Iboo Blessing covered her mouth in shock. She couldn't believe what she was seeing. Tears rolled down her cheeks. "God, I don't even know how to thank you." Around her, the women stared in surprise. Some clapped, others whispered. But one thing was clear. Blessing's life had truly started to change. The news spread like wildfire through the market. "Did you hear? That plantain seller girl, Blessing, received cartons of brand new phones. I saw the delivery van myself. Phones, chargers, smartwatches. Her shop looks like a mini phone plaza now." Some people were happy for her. Others couldn't hide their envy. But Blessing didn't let any of it get to her. She stayed focused. Each morning she arranged her shelves neatly, greeted customers with a smile, and answered every question with patience. Her confidence grew daily, and so did her customer base. People from other parts of Lagos started visiting her shop. One afternoon, while she was organizing her new stock, she heard a familiar voice at the door. "You're growing faster than most big businesses I know." She looked up and smiled. Mr. Iboo. He was dressed in a plain white tee and jeans, as usual. No bodyguards, no noise, just himself. "You didn't have to send all those things," Blessing said, still overwhelmed. Iboo stepped inside. "I wanted to. You reminded me that genuine people still exist. Helping you is like planting a seed in good soil." Blessing blushed slightly. "Thank you. I'll never forget what you and your mum did for me." They sat and talked for a while. This time, it wasn't just about business. They laughed about market women gossiping, shared thoughts on growing up in Lagos, and even argued playfully about who made the best jollof rice, mainland or island people. "You know," Iboo said, leaning on the counter, "I've met many successful people, but most of them don't have your heart." Blessing chuckled. "That's a big thing to say, especially coming from someone like you." Iboo smiled. "It's the truth." Later, that week Iboo's visits became more frequent. Sometimes he would just stop by to check on her. Other times, he would bring lunch for both of them. They talked freely, no pretending, no hiding. Blessing knew who he was, but she never treated him like he was above her. To her, he was a good man, not just a billionaire, but someone who truly cared. But not everyone was happy. One hot Saturday afternoon, 3 rough-looking boys came to her shop pretending to be customers. "How much for this phone?" one asked roughly. Before Blessing could answer, another one picked up a smartwatch without asking. "Hey, please be careful," Blessing said, her voice firm. They laughed and mocked her. "Small girl don't get confidence now. Because one big man they visit you, Abi." "Return that watch," she said again. One of them stepped closer, trying to intimidate her. Suddenly, a familiar voice cut through the tension. "Is there a problem here?" It was Iboo. He had parked nearby and seen what was going on. The boys turned, saw him, and instantly stepped back. One mumbled, "No wahala, boss." "Then leave," Iboo said calmly. They walked off quickly. Blessing's hands were shaking. "They've been coming around lately, acting funny." Iboo looked at her seriously. "Don't worry. I'll get someone to stay nearby and watch the shop. And if anyone troubles you again, let me know immediately." "Thank you," she whispered. He placed a gentle hand on the counter. "I don't like seeing you afraid. You're stronger than you think." That night Blessing sat outside her house, staring at the moon. Deborah came to sit beside her. "You and Mr. Iboo, are you friends?" the little girl asked curiously. Blessing smiled. "Yes, a very good friend." Deborah looked up. "He likes you, I think." Blessing didn't reply at first. Then she said softly, "Maybe. But even if he doesn't, I'll always be grateful he came into my life." She looked up at the sky again, her heart full. "I don't know what the future holds," she said quietly. "But for the first time in my life, I feel like I'm finally becoming the woman I was meant to be." The next morning, Blessing opened her shop as usual. The sun was hot, but she didn't mind. She arranged the phones, power banks, and smartwatches neatly on the shelves. Customers came one after the other, and business was good. By afternoon, she had already made more than 60,000 naira in sales. Some women in the market were happy for her success. "That girl is a blessing indeed. She started small, and now look at her," one woman said. But others were not so kind. "This Lagos girl don't catch one rich man," another woman hissed. "You think it's just hard work? No man day behind am." Blessing heard the whispers, but she stayed calm. She was used to being talked about. Her focus was her work, her siblings, and her future. That evening, as she closed her shop and was locking the door, she saw a black car pull up slowly across the road. The window rolled down, and to her surprise, it was Iboo. "Done for the day?" he asked with a smile. "Yes, just finished." "Hop in. Let's take a drive." Blessing hesitated for a second, then entered the car. She hadn't seen him in 4 days. She had missed their talks more than she realized. As they drove through the streets of Lagos, Iboo finally spoke. "I've been thinking a lot lately," he said. "About what?" "About you. About how quickly you've turned your life around. You remind me of what real strength looks like." Blessing looked out the window, her voice low. "Sometimes I still feel like I'm dreaming. All of this, the shop, the support, even you. It all came so suddenly." "But you were ready for it," Iboo said. "You worked hard, you stayed kind, you earned it." They stopped at a quiet roadside suya spot in Yaba. Iboo bought suya and cold drinks, and they sat in the car eating together. "I know I'm not like the women you probably know," Blessing said softly. "I didn't go to university. I'm not polished, but I'm doing my best." Iboo looked at her seriously. "And that's exactly why I respect you. You don't pretend. You don't chase wealth. You focus on doing right." There was a short silence between them. Not uncomfortable, but meaningful. Then Iboo reached for her hand gently. "Blessing, I know this might sound sudden, but I want you to know that I'm not just here to support your business. I truly care about you." Blessing looked up, surprised. "You do?" He nodded. "Yes, and not because of pity or gratitude. I've seen your heart, and it's rare." Blessing smiled, eyes misty. "I don't know what to say." "Say nothing," he said gently. "Let's take things slow. But I want to be part of your life, not just in business." The next day at the market. While Blessing was restocking her shelves, 3 women she knew from the past approached her. One of them, Ngozi, had always looked down on her. "So, Blessing," Ngozi began, arms crossed, "we heard you're now driving around town with big men. Market don't change for you, eh?" "I'm just focused on my work," Blessing replied, not looking up. "Don't act like you're better than us now," another one said. "We know where you started from." "I've never pretended to be better than anyone," Blessing replied, keeping her voice calm. Ngozi stepped closer. "Then stay away from our customers, you hear me? You're not the only one selling phone accessories." Blessing stood and looked at her. "I didn't steal customers. People come because they trust me. I won't stop doing my business." Just then, 2 security men appeared nearby. Iboo had quietly hired them to monitor the area in plain clothes. The women backed off and walked away, grumbling. That night, Blessing sat outside, holding her phone and reading messages from satisfied customers. Deborah came to sit beside her with a plate of roasted corn. "Are you okay?" she asked. "Yes," Blessing smiled. "Some people tried to shake me today, but I'm stronger now." Deborah looked up. "I'm proud of you." Blessing looked at the stars and whispered to herself, "This is just the beginning. God didn't bring me this far to leave me." Weeks passed, and Blessing's life continued to transform in ways she never imagined. Her shop was now fully stocked. She had added shelves for memory cards, wireless earbuds, and even second-hand tablets. Every day brought new customers, and her name began to spread across Ketu. She had also become a mentor to other small girls in the market, girls who used to see her hawking plantain barefoot, now asking her how she made it. But Blessing remained humble. One sunny afternoon, she got a call from Mama Iboos. "My daughter, I'm inviting you and your sister for dinner this weekend. We're expecting some family friends too." "Okay, Ma," Blessing replied, a bit nervous. She hadn't visited the mansion in a while, though Iboo had been calling her almost every other day. Their bond was stronger now. She didn't feel small around him anymore. He made her feel like an equal. Saturday evening, Blessing and Deborah arrived in a Bolt cab, both dressed in simple but elegant gowns. Blessing's hair was styled in cornrows, and she wore a little necklace Iboo had gifted her. Inside the mansion, the living room was beautifully set, and guests were already seated. Among them were some of Iboo's business partners, friends, and distant relatives. When Blessing entered, Iboo stood immediately. His eyes sparkled. "You look amazing," he said softly. "Thank you," she smiled. During the dinner, Mama Iboos proudly introduced Blessing to everyone. "This young lady saved my life without asking who I was. Today, she's not just family, she's one of us." People clapped. Blessing smiled shyly. Later that evening, Iboo called everyone's attention. "I have something important to do," he said, standing in the center of the room. He turned to Blessing and gently took her hand. "You didn't just help my mother that day, you changed my life too. You reminded me what real kindness looks like. You taught me humility, focus, and love." Blessing's heart began to race. Iboo knelt down slowly and pulled out a small velvet box. Inside was a simple but elegant diamond ring. "Blessing, will you marry me?" The entire room gasped. Tears filled her eyes. Deborah covered her mouth in shock. Blessing nodded, too emotional to speak. "Yes," she finally whispered. Cheers filled the room. Mama Iboos smiled with joy. Deborah ran forward and hugged them both. Months later, Blessing was now living in a beautiful apartment in Lekki, gifted by Iboo. But she didn't stop working. In fact, she opened a second phone accessories shop and employed 2 young women she trained personally. She also started a small foundation that gave business grants to struggling female traders in Ketu and Ojota. One morning, she visited her old plantain stall. Some of the women who mocked her before now greeted her with respect. "Madam Blessing, God bless you," she smiled. "It's still me. Oh, just with more blessings now." One quiet Sunday morning, Iboo and Blessing sat in their living room, sipping tea and watching Deborah braid her doll's hair. The sunlight filtered through the window. "I still can't believe it," Blessing said, leaning on his shoulder. "From plantain to this life." Iboo kissed her forehead gently. "God saw your heart. That's what brought you here." There was a soft knock on the door. A delivery man stood outside, holding a brown parcel. "For Mrs. Blessing," he said. Inside was a glass frame with her favorite quote written in gold. You don't have to be rich to be kind, but kindness can change your entire life. Blessing held it to her chest and smiled with tears in her eyes. She had been poor. She had been ignored. But through it all, she remained kind. And that kindness led her to love, purpose, and a life beyond her wildest dreams. The end.